Hello learners, today we will discuss about how to start the introduction part of the IELTS essay. Many of our learners, they face this problem, how to begin the paragraph of the introduction part, which is the most crucial issue for the learners. So I'm going to tell you the vocabularies, how you can open the lines of the introduction part. So we have highlighted here the different categories of the vocabulary. Number one, doesn't matter which category of the question that you are getting in the IELTS, you can simply start the introduction part by saying this. Number one, many or some people claim or believe that. Then you can use the dash I have highlighted here to just make you understand. You can use the content of the question after that. You can also start the introduction part of the IELTS essay by saying this. There is no denying fact that. You can say, it is often said that. You can also say, these days or nowadays. This is also a good way to start the introduction part of the IELTS. You can also start, it goes without saying that. Then it is universally accepted that. And whether dash it means the content or dash is a controversial issue. So if you have the question which is a kind of argumentative question, you can simply say whether, like for example, I'm just giving you an example now, whether giving pocket money to the students or not to give money to the students is a controversial issue. This is the way of starting the introduction part of essay. Now we are going to discuss about which vocab you should use while starting the body paragraph 1 and body paragraph 2 of the IELTS essay. So let's discuss in detail. The first, you can start the body paragraph 1 by saying, to begin with. After writing the introduction part, it's very important to highlight what your essay is going to do. So in that case, you can start by writing to begin with. You can also say to embark with, that's the better vocabulary. The third one, firstly, you can also categorize firstly, secondly, thirdly, like this. It will be easy for you, to have more points, and you can easily use PEE formula, which is point, explain, and exemplify. Then you can also start, it is worth considering dash, that means content of the question that you can use. Then on the one hand, if the question is discussion and opinion based, where you have to discuss both sides of the view, so you can simply say on the one hand what people they believe in. You can use PE formula. Then you can say on the other hand, though it is true that, so you can use any of the line for the body paragraph 1. Now let's discuss how to start the body paragraph 2. In the body paragraph 2, if you have started with the firstly, of course you'll be starting with the secondly word, so it will be more convenient for you. Secondly, you can say in addition to that, because if you might, there can be a possibility where you have to add some ideas in that case, so you can simply use in addition to that. You can also use consequently. Then you can say other people believe that. If you have started with what some people they believe in one part of the paragraph, you can simply say what other people believe in. Secondly, you can also say on the other hand. This is also a good way of starting the body paragraph 2. One important part in IELTS essay is the contrasting. What is contrasting? That is the opposite view of the people. If you are discussing two sides of the view, you can simply use the contrasting words. So there are certain words which you have to keep in your consideration. I'm going to discuss right now. The first is on the contrary. You can simply say, if you are going opposite view of that essay, you can simply say on the contrary. You can also say however. This word also indicates the contrasting statement. You can say nevertheless. You can say alternatively. This is a very beautiful word which you can use for contrasting. Now, once you are done with the contrasting, previously I explained you have to use a formula which is called PEE, point, explain, exemplify, in the body paragraph 1. So there are some vocabularies which are important for writing in the essay. You can simply use any of the vocab for writing the example part. Number one, you can say for instance, you can say for example, you can say as an evidence. This is a very good word. You can say to cite an example. Then finally, a vocabulary to present an idea. If you're planning to present an idea there, you can simply say research shows that then you can start with the format of the essay. You can also say research has found that. And if you are planning to use more ideas there in the IELTS essay, you can simply say another point worth noting is, then you can have further conversation. Then another factor to consider is, any of the line you can simply use there. Sometimes you will have to show the consequence and effects in the IELTS essay. So for that, there are certain words which you can simply use to make your essay more lucrative and more effective. The first word for that, you can say consequently. The second word, therefore, this is also a good word to show the effects. You can say hence. Hence, then you can say eventually, or you can also say henceforth. This is also a word to show the effects. Now, when you write down the last part of the introduction part, like last part of the essay, that is the conclusion part. Introduction, body para 1, body para 2, and finally conclusion part. There are some vocabularies which you can simply use in the conclusion part. Make sure, guys, this is very important to highlight the introduction, the conclusion vocabulary. Otherwise, your essay will not be perfectly correct. So in that case, when you write down the conclusion part, you can simply use these words. You can say in conclusion, you can say to conclude, to elucidate. This is very good vocabulary you can simply use, and make sure you use comma after writing this vocab. You can say to recapitulate, all in all. Either of the vocab you can use simply for the conclusion part. Doesn't matter which category of the essay you are writing. Now, in the introduction part of the IELTS essay, you will have to show your opinion. So how to show your opinion? There are certain vocabulary for that. When you are agreeing with this statement, you can say, I'm quite inclined to the opinion that. When you write down the last part of the introduction part of the IELTS essay, you can simply finish by saying this. You can say, I consent that. You can say, I accept the fact that. This is also a good line. When you disagree with this statement, that means you are not going through the agree part, you are going opposite view that. In that case, you can simply say, I totally do not accept the fact that. You can say, however, my opinion is different. So these are the lines which are important. Now, to end the introduction part of the IELTS essay, there are few vocabularies we can use. Doesn't matter which category of the essay that you're getting up, you can simply use these lines to end the introduction part of the IELTS essay. The first one is, let's examine both views and reach a concrete decision. If, for example, there is a discussion and opinion-based essay where you have to discuss both sides of the view and give your opinion finally, you can simply end up your introduction part by saying, let's examine both views and reach a concrete decision. The second line, that is the following paragraph, will discuss whether ... it means the content of the question, or ... and reach a reasonable conclusion. This is also a best way to use the ending of the introduction part. The third one is, the following essay takes a look at both sides of the argument. If the essay is argumentative based, you can simply use both sides of the view here as well. Then, if the essay is opinion based, whether you have to say agree part or disagree part, you can simply use your opinion by saying this. However, I strongly believe that. Then you can say the content. Then, thus the advantages far outweigh the disadvantages. Make sure this line you can only use when the essay category is, do you think its advantages outweigh its disadvantages? It means, do you feel that it has more advantages than its drawback? Then you can simply use this line. Finally, I wholeheartedly believe that this trend should be changed.